Good afternoon and welcome to Conversations on Showing Up for Kids. My name is Tim Markle. I'm director of the Southern Regional Center for Children and Youth with Special Healthcare Needs out of the Waisman Center. We cover 14 counties in southern and southwest Wisconsin, and we are here to help assist families and those champion professionals that help our families to find resources, find support, find answers, and to work together to make the system better. Today, my thought was to have a discussion on how do families reset? Well, unfortunately, families get really, really busy. And so the panelists that I had lined up were unable to make it today, which is no surprise because they are all family members of children with special healthcare needs. And our lives can get overwhelming sometimes. So I thought I'd just spend at least a couple of minutes about what my thoughts were on why I felt this was important to talk about. You see, in our lives, we all go through ups and downs, but there's sometimes in our lives that things go really sideways. And it's like the earth shakes or the wind blows too hard and things get out of sorts. Our families can get out of sorts as well. Sometimes that can be due to a financial situation, a health situation. It could have to do with somebody dying. Maybe it's a change of schools or a change of homes. There's so many different ways that life can go sideways that I often think that wouldn't it be neat to be able to have that reset button where you could just go, you know what? This is too overwhelming right now. Let's just take it back. Sometimes I want a rewind button where I just go, I don't like the way this turned out. Can I go back and do it over? Neither one of those buttons exist. So what are some things that I've learned throughout the 13 or so years that I've been working with families with children with special healthcare needs, as well as the now 25 years of experience I have with my old son, my own son, not my oldest son, my own son, about how we may be able to approach a reset when our lives go sideways. Number one, the most important thing I think is we need to remember to give ourselves grace and patience. And that extends to our family members. But let's start with ourselves. We will always have situations come up that we have not dealt with, but we can usually figure them out based on the way that we have dealt with situations before. So it may not be exactly, but it can be helpful to remember those times that you have made it through a struggle. Remember how, what are the supports that helped get through that struggle, that helped get through that change. Sometimes what's worked in a similar way can work again for our families. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the situation is so different that we have to sit down and go, okay, that's not going to work. That strategy, that support system that I had isn't going to work. But what do I have now that is going to be able to help support me through this? Grace comes in when we remind ourselves that we're not doing it alone, that we can't do this alone, that there are places like the Southern Regional Center that you can call and talk to an information referral support specialist and say, hey, this is what's happening. Do you know of anything out there that might be able to help me? This is where other family members can come in. Other parents of children with special healthcare needs and different support groups can come in to say, this is what I'm going through. Anybody been through this before? Anybody have any suggestions about how to get through this? But that grace of, you don't have to get it exactly right every time, because you know what? You can't. None of us can. But we can give ourselves grace to keep trying and to try again and not give up, even though it feels overwhelming. And that's also where patience comes in. Not everything can be solved in a 30-minute sitcom or 60-minute drama, even with commercials. That's not the way real life works. Real life takes time. it takes effort and it takes other people to help us. So give yourself a little bit of patience. If you're expecting, I was just talking to a mom the other day where she's like, well, I don't expect my family to be okay, but I thought I would be okay by now. I thought things would be better by now. Sometimes we lay these expectations on ourselves that nobody could live up to. And we think, well, we should have this together by now. I should have it together by now. And then we start to worry about it. And then we start to think to ourselves that what's wrong with me, that I don't have it together right now. Whereas the reality is you probably have it a lot more together today than you did the other day. So give yourself a little bit of patience. Give yourself a little bit of grace as we hit these reset times. I'm excited that Pearl is able to join us today as well. Hi, Pearl. I was just discussing how, we don't have a major panel, but yet I really felt this was an important topic. And so I just wanted to share some thoughts on what I've learned throughout the years about reset. I got in all the way into, hey, be patient with yourself and give yourself some grace. Because I know there have been times in my life where things literally have fallen apart, is where we've been homeless, where I didn't have a job, where my son had to go in for some psychiatric treatment. And after each of those periods, and during those periods, we had to have a reset as a family. We couldn't just keep doing things like we did before. And those times of change can be really hard. I'm wondering, what are your thoughts on resetting? I know that you probably had some, unless of course, hey, don't let me, if your life has gone perfectly smooth and everything has always fallen into place, I certainly don't want to pretend that it hasn't. But if you've had some ups and downs or some struggles, what are your thoughts on this whole set of how do we reset our families?
So first, let me just say, no family goes through life without a reset. I don't care if you have fur babies or your own kids or adopted kids or kids that just come to your house like stray cats from the neighborhood. Being a parent has to come with resets.
Yes.
From the moment that you're going to be a parent. Or if you just like, surprise, I have kids now. And like, how did this happen? Right? It's a reset. And everything that a reset encompasses means you're resetting to make life what it needs to be now. Right? So
yeah.
for me, resets on any day that ends in Y is pretty much how this goes.
Okay.
If
Yes.
it's a day that ends in Y, I probably have a reset. And for me, what I do to get through it is, we're always teaching our kids that, how to deal with routine changes. My kids have autism, right? So routine's very important to them. Routine's important for a lot of people. But we always expect them, how do they deal with a routine change? How do they deal with something that's not going to happen that they planned for? That's life. And so if we anticipate and expect them to be able to reset, we have to lead by example.
Mm-hmm.
So let me reset what I need to do to help them reset and move forward. And things in life have not been easy, right? But no one ever said life was going to be easy. I don't know who ever thought it was supposed to be easy. It's not. And giving yourself that grace, as you said, to understand that and recognize it and make the changes or the pauses in life that you need is what's going to get you through it.
And Pearl, I love that thought. I've been hearing a lot more about how if we want calm kids, then we have to learn how to be calm adults. And that if we want to have our kids go with the flow, then we have to learn how to go with the flow.
Right.
And that if we approach a reset, a change in our lives by exploding all over our kids and telling them how bad it is and how worried that it is and that this is just not going to turn out well, that's going to affect them.
Right.
Whereas, we're not lying to them, but if we can get to the point where just like, hey, we're going to make it through this. We're going to be okay. We're going to come out the other side. We're going to deal with this just like we've dealt with other things. Then that may help give them the strength and belief that it's going to be okay.
I agree. It also shows that it's okay to communicate with your circle on how you're feeling.
Yeah.
Right. If we're wanting them
Yes.
to express their thoughts and feelings to us or to their friends or counselors or whoever, we have to lead by example. There's the whole reason of the saying monkey see, monkey do, right?
Exactly.
So I was blessed to have a mother that did that with me. Single mom, left a horrible relationship, and she didn't sugarcoat anything. I knew if my dad didn't pay child support. I knew if we couldn't afford Christmas presents or what grocery, limits we had and so forth. But she never made it sound like, oh my God, the world's, coming to an end, the sky's falling.
Right. So there's this separation of here's the facts.
Here's the
This
facts.
is what is happening, and I'm not going to sugarcoat what's happening, but I'm also not going to go into this defeatist mindset that
Correct.
because this is happening, it's the end of the world and everything's out of control and da 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 da. Is as the adult, I can look at it differently. But yeah, I love that. I remember the same thing growing up with my mom. We knew when it was going to be a lean Christmas.
Yeah. And I like to think that, and I try to do that with my kids now, because I like to think that exposing them to the realities of the outside world, right, at a younger age, but still within the comforts and safety of home, is a nice way to ease into the hardships that life's gonna give you. And I always tell my kids, it's a cold world out there, but you better grab your coats. And coats means, take time for you. There's no right or wrong way to do this. It's just you take a time out if you need it. You call me if you need a vent. If you need to hide away from 2 days with the cell phone turned off, just let me know so I don't think you're dead in a ditch somewhere, right? But yeah, they know that, and it's literally they'll just text me, I'm gonna grab my coat, and I know exactly what it means.
That's a wonderful lesson to have your kids grow up with.
But again, it's through life, right? It's what we try to expose them to. And again, no one way of parenting is going to be a one size fits all, because if it was, bestsellers would have been written by special needs parents decades ago, and we would just be millionaires. But the whole point of having your circle, right, your tribe, your go-to people, is because you are going to need to reset. That's just how it goes. Whether it's for yourself, for something that happens in your life, or something tragic happens, a loss in the family, a death in the family, loss of income, a loss of home, whatever it is, always make sure that you surround yourself with people who will have your back in the hard times and celebrate you when you're having the good.
And there doesn't have to be a lot of them.
No, I have two.
Yeah. It's those people, find those people that get us.
Yeah. And sometimes one of them is your best friend that's like your spouse.
Sure.
Who's like a grown kid that you've married, but you know, beggars and choosers, right? And another one, ironically, for my mom, I was one of her people, and she was one of mine when I was a kid, because I felt like it was me and her against the world, and that was great. it wasn't like life was amazing and wonderful. It was hard. Oh my God, yes, very hard.
Mhm.
But I wouldn't trade the lessons that she taught me during those hard times for me to be able to be the mom that I am now.
And I think that's another really important point that sometimes doesn't get remembered, is that after a reset, we can look back and see, was there a lesson? How did I grow? Where did I grow stronger because of
Right.
this? Is that if we keep that sort of positive afterwards, it's hard going
Yeah.
through these things. But if we can have the space to look back and talk about how we've grown, or how it changed us in a positive way, or how maybe I found another supporter through this,
Right.
that there's somebody else who gets me, then that gives us, just in the back of our mind, this little voice could sit there and say, the next time we hit a hard time, going, you know what? It was you also had some good that came with that bad. There was also some positive because of that. And
Yeah.
I think that reflection is important. Sometimes we don't have time to
And a lot of times we don't have time,
yeah,
and sometimes we don't see what we learned or what we got good
true.
out of it, right? Because it's hard. You're still recovering from whatever happened. And so the best thing to remember is, if you can't see anything else that you learned from it, or that, what wonderful thing you got out of it, at least remembered, I made it out.
Yes. Yes, I made
And
it
and
through.
and that in itself is something to celebrate.
Well, I'd like to see if Felicia would like to join our conversation this afternoon. Felicia, I see your arm. Don't know if you are able to unmute. If you'd just like to share a little bit about what you've learned about resetting as, okay. Just for those who can't read the chat because you may be listening, she can't talk just yet, so that's fine. Just let me know whenever you can, and we will just continue on for a little bit. Thank you so much for that, and I apologize for that. I should have checked first. You had also said something earlier, Pearl, that sparked a thought, and that's the fact that sometimes we'll put expectations on our family and expectations on ourselves when we hit that barrier, when we hit a problem, and we sit there and go, you know what, I'm going to plow through this, and tomorrow, I've said this to myself, tomorrow's going to be a better day. And then I wake up, and what the heck do I do if it's not? Do I sit there and go, oh, damn, you screwed something up? I have to beware of putting these expectations, especially when I'm dealing with a situation I haven't dealt with before.
Right.
When I think that, I'm going to be able to do this and this and this, and then, within a week, I'm going to be and it doesn't happen. And then I get mad at myself and I feel I've let myself down. Well, that then begins to reflect on the family.
Right.
And so I've had to learn to keep an eye on what my expectations are about myself in those times, and what my expectations are for other people. And going back to then, your supporters. Who is it that's going to support me through this? And who is it that's going to do that whole, oh, you think you got it bad comparison?
Right.
And this is not the time to talk to them. I have to be
No.
in a certain point of mind and certain place to be able to talk to people like that. But yeah, I need those people who can sympathize and empathize with what's going
Right.
on. Do you have any thoughts on that whole sense of expectations that we set up for ourselves?
My mom always taught me that saying, don't sweat the petty things and don't pet the sweaty things, which is something that I've taught to all my kids because it's hilarious. And my mom was a thing about puns. And so it's just awesome. But
don't sweat that. I just want to repeat that, make sure we understand.
Sure.
Don't sweat the petty things and don't pet the sweaty things.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
Teenage pregnancies were really high back in the day. But she was always, puns and easy ways to remember sayings. But, when things get hard, I remember that if it doesn't hold up to the timeline that I set up of how this is going to go down,
Yes.
isn't that just another reason of how life can be unpredictable? If it was meant to be easy, everybody could do it. If it was meant to be able to be solved in a week, everybody could solve it in a week.
Mhm.
So if we're still struggling a week, a month, a year later, what is life trying to teach us that we're just too stubborn to acknowledge?
Mhm.
And are we repeating the same mistakes over and over? Definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. A lot of us adhere to routine. What's worked in the past has got to work again, right?
If only
Well,
I
what
just
if
try
we're
harder. I've just got to
right?
try harder.
We just got to keep working harder, and
That's right.
eventually it will work. Well, guess what? You're not working with a circle in a circle peg anymore. Now you've got a square, and no matter how much you try to jam that square into that circle, it is not going to go. And now we're trying to learn how to operate with the square.
Yeah.
Nothing's wrong with it. It's not like we've done anything wrong. It's not like we've, our family's done something wrong, or karma's coming to bite us and the what. I mean, no, none of that. None of that. It's just life. It's always changing, always evolving. And as long as you remember that, you
Mhm.
tend to give yourself grace when things don't go according to plan. Because if life was easy, we'd be bored with it already.
Good point. And there's this, it reminds that there's always this, not always, there's this time that I have where I stop and I'm able to sit there and go, okay, this is not getting any better.
Mm,
I've tried everything I can. I have the supporters. I'm not going to go down a dark road or anything, but maybe I need some help somewhere.
sure.
Maybe I need to see someone to talk this through. Maybe there's something behind this that's unresolved, that it's, like poking at me, like an open wound that I keep picking at, and so it's not going to ever heal.
Right.
And maybe I need to bring another brain in, or another
Right.
heart thing.
I love therapists. I
Yeah,
love them. I love them. They're good sounding boards. I have a
exactly.
few. Depends on my mood. I know which one to pick from. I have several. But and it's good because that's what they're there for. And the stigma of, oh, you're in therapy, or, oh, you see a therapist, you've got to be crazy, right?
Mhm.
No, no. Um, I like to think that the ones who run away from therapy are the crazy ones because they're afraid to see exactly all the flaws that they've got going in their world and in their mind that they think is just hunky dory. And a mind, that's a scary place. I mean, it can be great. Don't get me wrong. Minds are what propel us forward, and great inventions, and the loving and the caring and the empathy, and we get all of this from our heart and our brains, right? With the connection with people, the everything, right? That's there. It's also a scary
Mhm.
place
Oh yeah.
because if you wake up and you tell yourself every day that you're not a good mom, or you're not doing it right?
Or I can't.
Or I can't. I hate
Oh,
the can't, right? If you keep telling
right.
yourself that, you're going to believe it. And it's not because you can't do the things, it's not because you're not a good mom, but your brain will make you think that that is what reality is.
Yep.
And you can't change it until you learn how to stop that, right? So you've got to be careful. And sometimes you can't recognize when the brain is doing that with the I can'ts and you're not good enough and how dare you, right? Which is where outside brains can kind of come in to help reset your own thought process.
Um, and then about the last thing that I want to talk about, you've kind of touched on, Pearl, and that's that there's no, you've touched on this a couple of times. There's no one way to
Correct.
do a reset. Is
No,
each opportunity in life to reset, to sit there and go, okay, we're going to begin again from this point, whether it's the little things or those big things, is it can look different each time. You're not going to fail in it.
Right.
Keep reminding yourself that you can do this and you'll be able to do this.
Just like presets. A lot of people think, every New Year's Eve, the entire world says they're going to reset with these New Year's resolutions, right? How many of them actually succeed? Slim to none. I mean, there's a few, sure, but does that mean that they stop making resolutions the following December 31st? No.
Right. No.
They do it again. So why shouldn't we? Don't wait for December 31st. Like, let any day that you're feeling cray be your December 31st. Make the resolution, try, you fail, so what? Try again.
Yep.
But learn from it.
Some of it, it's all about, oh my gosh, this is not going well. So am I going to sit here and just let everybody know and stay and it's not going well? What can I do to change it?
Right.
What can I do to reset what's happening in my life? Sometimes that's harder than others. I especially think about like the death of a loved one and the reset that families have to go through when they begin to deal with grief and deal with loss, and that it can get complicated really quickly. So it's not easy, but I also know we have to get through and we have to make through so we can begin to live again.
And it's important, not just for yourself, but for those around you.
Yes.
Especially those younger than you, because they're going to be looking at you to see what you do. Because guess what? We're not going to be around forever, right? So how are we going to teach them to be okay when we're not around? And it's going to be however we react to the losses that we experience.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, I think that's a brilliant place to stop for right now. So I thank you for being here for this discussion. Thank you, Felicia, for showing up and being here for the discussion as well. This topic of resetting has just really been on my mind. So I appreciate being able to talk about it. I appreciate Pearl being able to discuss it. And I hope that somewhere along the line, it helps whoever might listen to this. Be patient, give yourself grace, believe in yourself that you can do it because you've done it before. It may look different, but you've done it before. You made it this far. You can continue one more step. I know you can. Any final words that you want to say, Pearl, before we close this out?
If people feel like they're struggling and they don't know where to turn, right? Like, where do I go? You guys keep saying to do all these things, like where? The regional centers are a good place to start out.
Yeah.
Even if it's not for your kid. I don't know a regional center that's going to turn you away if you're asking for assistance for yourself to find stuff, right?
You're going to find someone who will listen to you.
You will, and we'll get you started. It'll get you going where you need to go. And so if you don't want to talk to a bunch of strangers and you still want to kind of keep it confidential, reach out to the regional centers or reach out to your doctor or reach out to a church member, someone that you trust.
Yes.
And go from there, because that's going to be the first step. And that one's always the hardest to take, but you can do it.
Yeah. When that voice tells us we have to do this alone, we have to confront it and say, no, I don't. I can have friends. I can get help. I don't have to do this alone. Correct. We don't do any resets alone. Well, thank you so much, Pearl. Thank you, Felicia. This has been Conversations on Showing Up for Kids. Hey, Felicia, are you able to add something? Would you like to put in a couple of cents worth? We got maybe 5 minutes.
Yes, very nice to really meet you. I'm definitely looking forward to the work that we're doing, Ms. Pearl. I am Felicia. I am a mom who has experienced loss. I am, oh my God, so many different things. I don't like to talk about all the roles and credentials because then they just get all over the place. I'm a Lynn trainee. I think that's the most important, one of the most important things here in this space. I'm also working with Tim to look at supporting, people of color, Black and people of color, as it relates to children and youth with special health care needs. So we're working on an amazing pilot for that to get Wiseman Center, so to speak, and Southern Regional Center more interactive in our community, right? Service to people who live in the community. So we're going to be doing some awesome and amazing things if me and Tim can ever get our lives together, right, Tim?
Right, exactly. We got to
Um,
find some space here.
Yes, so it's definitely been a journey. We even in this short time, 6 months of working on the work that we've been doing, we've learned a lot. And really going back into the going back to the table, I guess I should say, and focusing on, how can we now make things better for everyone. So really looking forward to our continued journey. We know that is going to probably get worse before it gets better. But when it does get better, the better is going to be greater than ever. So yeah, that's where we are. And I always like to sit back sometimes and be a fly on the wall and listen, but Tim doesn't let me often. So
True. You should, it's like, okay, I know what my mind says. I want to hear what other people's minds say.
yeah.
I like other brains.
And Tim, I send me an email because I forgot what the amount was we said, because I know I got to send you an
No
invoice.
problem. We will, we'll get together and we will get that discussion going. Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you all for being here today. I'm going to go ahead and close this out. Thanks a lot. Have a great rest of your day.
Have a good one, Tim.
You
If you
too.
want to stay on, we can chat a little bit more.
Sure.